Don't look now, but Will Hobbs and Ricky Starks are going to face CM Punk. Lee Moriarty is All Elite, and Max Caster is back on TV. Is AEW starting to listen to us?
Hey, stay connected. Follow Pro Wrestling Bits.
Something beautiful happened Tuesday night on AEW Dark as supporters of Black Wrestling rallied around a TV-worthy main event between Big Swole and Diamante. You see, AEW has had a tough time booking black talent at the level of their white counterparts. Click here for more. Any AEW apologist will tell you that AEW has black wrestlers on their roster. 16 to be exact. Well, 17 now. But sometimes it feels more like how candy stores have black licorice. Yeah, it's definitely there, but that's pretty much all it is. It's not at the front of the counter or on any of the display shelves. Black licorice, like black wrestlers in AEW, is just there for whoever knows about it. Some can even name all 17 black wrestlers on the AEW roster in a single tweet. What they won't tell you, and what they can't, are the amount of black wrestlers who are booked as top stars the way Adam Cole, Daniel Bryan, Kenny Omega, Malachi Black, Jon Moxley, and the Young Bucks were on their first day with the company. And that's just a short list. The rest of those names would take at least 2 more tweets. But AEW is slowly starting to respond in kind to recent criticisms of being too white, especially when it comes to the main event. Yes, they just signed Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan, and they're probably tampering with Kevin Steen as we speak. But after being held accountable for weeks by supporters of black wrestling with hashtags like Black Wrestling Draws and hilarious satires of their white excellence, AEW seems to be listening, because none of this potential black excellence would have just happened. That's never, ever been the way that pro wrestling or America has worked for us. Had we remained quiet about AEW's all-white main event picture, it might have been another 60 years before AEW built a black top star, let alone a black world champion. Thankfully, in this day and age, there's an emerging black wrestling media and fan base that refuses to sit quietly and just give it time. Fans showed out for Big Swole and Diamante on Tuesday, activating the Black Wrestling Draws hashtag, which trended for days. Both women put on a strong performance, and Big Swole reminded the wrestling world that few are more charismatic than she is. Big Swole has all the star power to really pop whenever AEW is ready to give her a real opportunity. I don't want to hear a word about work rate and whether or not Swole is ready for this spot. Britt Baker didn't get over until she started filming weekly non-wrestling vignettes that had nothing to do with a wrestling match. On sheer personality and charm alone, Baker was able to become a superstar just by essentially being Britt Baker. You're telling me Big Swole couldn't get over it based on personality alone? Well, clearly black fans and supporters of black wrestling know she can. Swole won a 3 strikes match against Diamante as the two quietly had a very good feud. This built to a 2 out of 3 falls match where each fall could be won by pinfall, submission, or knockout, and on the 3rd fall, Big Swole said "bow" and slapped Diamante with a chain. God, why wasn't this on television? Having said that, Dynamite this past Wednesday was a positive step forward for black wrestlers in AEW. Will Hobbs defeated the Black Hot Dante Martin as they continue to heat up Hobbs for CM Punk. Hopefully between now and then they'll tell me Hobbs' story and build him up as a character in ways that make people care about him even after his inevitable defeat. Rising star Lee Moriarty is now All Elite, shout out to him. Also, side note, the PWI 500 came out this week. All you need to know is that 2 black men made the top 10 for the first time ever because Black Wrestling Draws. The Black Wrestling Draws hashtag shows one of the beauties of social media in that it can highlight underlying problems that most people are too uncomfortable to talk about. Eventually, AEW's budding issues in pushing black talent will become too glaring of a conversation to ignore. Sure, it's easy to dismiss these legitimate gripes as complaints, but enough of these complaints, or as I like to call them, tweets, and it becomes a powerful hashtag that allows you to see the perspectives of thousands of people who seem to feel the same way about how AEW has prioritized black wrestlers. This is the type of issue that needs a hashtag because most of the top journalists in wrestling won't go anywhere near it otherwise. It's forcing the issue of AEW painting its main event picture all eggshell white, despite telling everybody who would listen that this was going to be the diversity company. Forcing this issue will hopefully push AEW outside its comfort zone to start featuring talent that might be able to keep a casual wrestling fan's attention. Seriously, if Vince McMahon is going to get flack for having a big man fetish, in the words of Phil Brooks, you better keep that same energy for Tony Khan and his indie fetish. Because as hot as AEW is right now, it's kind of starting to look like ROH Supercard of Honor. White excellence aside, there's a limited audience and a ceiling for that brand of hardcore wrestling, as evidenced by 43% of AEW's 18 to 49 audience fleeing from Rampage since CM Punk's AEW debut. This was a golden opportunity to impress potential new fans with a triumphant return of CM Punk. And while AEW seemed to do just that with a historic television moment that already feels iconic, many of the casuals have treated CM Punk's return engagement like more of a one-night stand, and they found no reason to return. Black wrestlers being featured more in AEW will allow the company to tell new stories that could potentially win over new audiences. It would force them to drop all the Easter eggs designed for a limited audience of BTE viewers and start connecting with the non-traditional fans that they really need to truly compete with WWE. Because I'm not ruling out the fact that AEW could beat Raw in viewership, but if that were to happen anytime soon, it wouldn't be because the business exploded and AEW gained more viewers than Raw has now. It would be because WWE Raw sank to a level of viewership that made it beatable, which at that point would be the opposite of the business exploding. AEW's momentum with its base is unquestioned. Few wrestling promotions, if any, know their fan base better than AEW. But backed by TNT and a deep roster of talent, AEW has so much more potential than to be the internet wrestling alternative to WWE. Yes, I love ROH too, but the world's longest Bullet Club reunion will only take this company so far. Between now and whenever Tony Khan inevitably signs Kevin Steen to